That's the sound. Okay, so once we're done today, Amira, I'll get a copy of the video together and make sure that Michael gets it.
All right, thank you.
She can pass it on to you. Okay, well, a couple of things. While we're all digesting the chart, I'll throw a couple of things out there. In terms of elements, we're pretty much balanced. It's a pretty even distribution of elements across the board. In terms of house modalities, since it's a perfect Eastern hemispherical chart, we're pretty much balanced in terms of modalities, house modalities as well. But when it comes to sign modalities, we've got a whole stack of energy in cardinal. We've got a whole stack of energy in mutable, but we don't have a lot of fixed. In fact, we've almost got no fixed energy in there at all. So that's a really interesting way into the chart. It's also a bowl chart. You can see everything's on one side of the chart, and the lead planet for this bowl chart is Uranus up the top of the chart there in the 10th house. So that sense of duty, that sense of purpose that you've had all your life, your approach to career and so on, it's a paradox and a balancing act, because Uranus is in Cancer. Cancer is nurturing, it's sentimental, it's warm, it's emotionally focused. Uranus is cold, distant, and remote, and task focused. So it's a juggling act between those two energies moving forward. And that's the planet that's dragging this chart along. And being a Virgo, finding that perfect balance between those two modes is important. Is a very, very important balancing act indeed. And it sounds like you've done that to a T, because you've fulfilled all your obligations and tasks, if I can call them that, up to this point. I don't mean to give that a negative connotation, but it's brought you up to this point now that all boxes have been ticked, all tasks have been completed, and there isn't a next plan or a next phase to work into. So hopefully that gives a little bit of a backstory. Everything's in the Eastern horizon, as Michael mentioned, which means a very, very strong sense of individuality. We've got the sun and the ascendant conjunct, so a very, very strong sense of authenticity as well. Although it's interesting, we've got Virgo in the 12th house with the sun, and then we've got Pluto and Saturn in Leo, which is almost the opposite. In a lot of ways too, and those two planets are heavy hitters. To have them in the 12th house is really interesting indeed. So we're projecting this persona of somebody who's diligent and working and approachable and responsible, but at the same time there's this sense of power lurking in the background as well, with these two powerful charts for people who don't know her, I guess. How are we doing so far? Does that sound like a good analysis?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So does anybody?
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
Is Jupiter conjunct the IC exactly at 19?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely on the money there, and that's in Sagittarius as well, where it loves to be. Right at the back of that bowl chart. So that's getting dragged along there. So I think I can get a sense of where you might be going with that. So you don't want to add a little more to that?
Sure.
Would you like to remain mysterious?
The sun in Virgo, you know, I know the sun in Virgo likes to feel useful. It wants to be of service to others, and it's in the 12th house, so it's like she's come for like a kind of spiritual journey. But I feel like, and then the North Node is way by itself, so that calls my attention as well. And so it's in Taurus, and Jupiter, it's at 6 degrees, and I think Jupiter is at 6 degrees Taurus now, or it's about to be, maybe tomorrow or this week. So the meaning that she's looking for in life is going to come, and direction for the future is going to come, but it's going to be transformed in some way because it's in the 8th house. But there's something that has to do with being of service or working with women, because I see the Venus and the moon in the 11th, and Venus rules the North Node, and that's what I see. So I think that like things are going to, and all the planets on the eastern side mean that she's coming to to work with herself. You know, she doesn't really need others. But so it's funny that she should want to be of service to others while she's actually coming to work on herself. So maybe she should concentrate on her own spiritual development. It's like, that's what it's, yes, like I need to be of service to others. I have to be, I want to be, I'm organized. And something about learning to discern identity, because it's in the first house, so she should speak about herself or about her journey, or, and then those very powerful planets in the 12th house that she's going to find out exactly what they mean too, you know. And the teacher or the traveler of Jupiter conjunct the IC, so she's looking, her home is her home is not on the ground. It's in a different culture, a different place. But
You
it
hit
has
on some
to
really, really important points there. You know, the one that got me, and you mentioned it, is that Virgo's sun in the 12th house. That's somebody who's quietly working in the background to work with others. So there's no sense of, you know, hey, look at me, I'm doing this. And it's interesting because you've got all this Leo energy in there as well. So you've got to wonder where that's going. And in a way, I wonder if that impels that sense to work quietly and diligently in the background, because it's the house of hidden. It's the house of service to others. It's the house of self-forgetfulness. So, but then we've got this Jupiter and Sagittarius down there in the 3rd house. It feels like you've got this diligent planet right at the front of this bucket chart that's pulling everything along, walking a knife edge between sensitivity and emotional remoteness. But then it almost feels like there's a lion at the back of the chart that's following it at the same time too. So and there's an interesting paradox, because you're right. I think there's a very, very strong sense of individuality, but that 8th house north node there on the other side, because you've really hit on that 10th house energy too, that conjunction between Venus and the moon. It asks some very, very big questions about how you, Amira, how you in your head see being open to others, how you feel about openness to others, being surrendering power in a way, allowing others to take the lead, take control, even being involved with others. It was an interesting conversation I was having with my wife the other day, because in a lot of ways we're both very, very introverted. We're not people in a lot of ways. So, and we know where our boundaries are. She at the moment, she's a person who works for others. She likes to put herself out there, and she's starting to get relationships with co-workers who want to be closer to her, want to be a closer friend to her. And once it hits a certain limit, she backs off. That's it. That's my limit right there. And we're exactly the same in that regard. And I get a sense maybe in this chart, there's some of that as well, because you don't have anything on the Western horizon. That's where other people are calling shots in your life, where other people are, where relationships exert a level of control over your life as well. And having that North Node all sitting by itself, orphaned up there in the 8th house and the house of transformation, suggests there may be some lessons in some direction. That's where the next step might be. And I think you've hit the nail on the head by looking in that 11th house as well. Does anybody have any other thoughts? Sorry, I just said a whole lot there.
So what do you think about the North Node in the 8th house? That's the direction she needs to, is that the direction she needs to focus on? Does she need to be, because the North Node is what we're striving for in this lifetime, correct?
It's the direction, it's the star we're following. That's the idea, but it comes with the South Node as well, and that also tells you where we've come from. And if you look at it purely from that point of view, and if you look at it, there's an incredible amount of Scorpio energy in this chart as well. You've got the Chiron down there in the 2nd house. You've got the South Node in Scorpio. You've got this Pluto lurking around in the 12th house too. And the energy of that Pluto is so different to the energy of that sun. When you look at it from a past life point of view, this is like I said, when we look at it from a past life point of view, we're compartmentalizing. We're talking in the past tense here. This is somebody who has to learn lessons in control when it comes to being around other people. Scorpio down the bottom there, that second house Scorpio stuff might suggest somebody who is so hyper aware of being hurt, they may hurt first. And that's talking in a past life sense. Okay, so I'm not saying this is something you necessarily need to own in this lifetime. When you look at a North Node in Taurus and a pattern like that, that's somebody who needs to learn to slow down in relationships and how they work with other people. And they need to be diligent and they need to be warm. And the fact that that's pinging planets in the 11th house means that you're probably going to learn that lesson outside the family, outside your own intimate relationships. You're going to learn that through surrogate families, relationships with women, with groups, with other people like that. And that'll be your testing ground. Because when you're dealing with Scorpio, everything's so close to the bone when you're trying to learn those sorts of lessons, that having that layer of distance is the perfect place to learn that. So, and I can't help but feel with what Antoinette mentioned with these planetary placements that are coming up, that there might be windows of opportunity opening up for that right now. So maybe today, even just doing what we're doing today might be a catalyst for that in a way.
Yes, for sure.
All right, well, what do you make of Pluto in the 12th house?
You know,
I was just looking at that.
I should myself.
Yes, that close to Saturn and positioned the way that it's positioned. How do you see that?
Well, before we go there, how are we doing so far, Amira? We will come there because that's a question that needs to be asked. But what are your thoughts on where we're going with this so far?
I think that working with other people and being warm and giving and accomplishing, yes, I've always been like that. And you said that I need to go ahead and try to go ahead and concentrate a little bit more on me. What do I want? What on myself, whatever is my needs. And that is something very difficult for me. I'm a very giving person. I know how to give, but I don't know how to receive.
Yep, gotcha.
And
What
that I
you
know
just-
that
Sorry,
is
go.
something that is difficult. And I don't know really how. I think I'm learning, because I have friends now. I live in a different place, and they trying to go ahead and tell me, you got to take care of yourself. It is all right. It is not selfish. It is something that you need to go ahead and do so you can be happy.
There's
So
the opposite lesson to that as well, isn't there? I mean, if you're a person who gives but doesn't want to receive, it's a form of control, even if it's positive control as well. You're not opening yourself up to what other people might want to bring into your life. Do you know what I'm saying?
Remember, you have to have your hands open. And yes, we've discussed this, the fact that you have to, you have to be like that. You have to have your hands open to receive. And so we have discussed that she needs to be better at receiving.
I call it an exchange of energy. I think especially when you're doing work like this, there should be a two-way exchange of energy between two people, you know. And it's the same. Look, I'm saying this in such an easy way, like it's an easy thing to do. I'm the same. I struggle as well. I know my wife does. It's probably our struggle and the way we work with other people that makes us so comfortable around each other. There's so many questions we don't have to deal with, you know. But in order to really be giving, you need to be receiving at the same time, because it's an exchange of energy. And when you're not doing that, in a way, you're controlling and choosing your form of generosity, because the other person's not able to reciprocate, if that makes sense. That's to put a harsh edge on it, but that's how some people may take it at the same time. My wife, God bless her, she's lovely, but she can be intensely controlling at the same time in that way, because she decides what her generosity is going to be, and there's no room for argument about that, which is a Sagittarian trait, I might add. It's right at the back of your chart.
That is very true.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm very hard-headed.
Sorry, what was that word?
She's pretty hard-headed. She's kind of
Okay.
stubborn.
There you go. And that, in a way, that undoes generosity. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not completely
Yes.
generosity if it's a one-way, if it's a one direction approach. That's intensely cardinal. Cardinal means everything's traveling in a straight line, and as long as you're controlling the direction of that line, it's not necessarily generosity as far as all parties are concerned, if that makes sense. So, and that's a tough lesson to learn too. Very, very tough one, especially for such a powerful individual as yourself, and I can see that on your chart. If I was going to start approaching those Leo placements, Saturn and Pluto there in the 12th house, I'd wonder if that might be what's driving that in a way. And again, too, you've got Uranus up in the 10th house there too, because if you don't put a leash on Uranus, you don't know where it's going to end up, where it's going to take you. It'll take you on a merry ride too. So you've had to walk a knife edge between being sentimental and warm, but also telling people what to do too. And that's built that strength. I think that's allowed you to work with other people. But as we can see on this chart, that work's happening in one hemisphere. It's happening on the eastern side of the chart. So it's not collaborative. Do you know what I'm saying? And the problem you find yourself with is you're in a point in your life now where you want to know what the direction is. You're looking for direction from other people, but you're not strong. Working with other people is not a strength for you in that regard. It requires trust. It requires opening yourself up, and you've never been rewarded for that in your life. That's what it looks like to me. You're in a really tough position now, and you're fixed. And when I looked at the elemental placements from the chart, your mutable energy makes up 12 points, your cardinal energy makes up 9 points, and your fixed energy makes up 2 points. So for you being fixed, that's not a nice place to be. You don't like the sense of being stuck and polarized in one place. It is very, very uncomfortable for you. You should either be moving in a straight line or looking around to find where the next straight line is going to be. I think that's might be how you've come to this point, I think. So I guess I've talked more about how we got here rather than what to do about it. What does anybody else have any thoughts on that? Am I wrong? Are there any other points that might add to that? What are your thoughts?
I think it's interesting, those Pluto and Saturn in Leo, because the South Node, like she was saying, I have difficulty receiving. So I'm trying to figure out, well, what happened? And in past life, Scorpio has to do with a betrayal for me, you know? So, it's like Scorpio is the most intimate sign, is where you have to completely merge. So she may have done that in a past life. And I see that she was very powerful in past life, you know, the ruler is Pluto, and it's in a place where she doesn't want to be seen. And in this life, she may have been very powerful, and in this life, she's very humble. So there's some kind of limitation. She feels limited to shining her light, because Saturn is in Leo. It's like saying, you know, and then it's in the 12th. So it's all very spiritual, but it has to do with relationships, I think, you know. And Uranus in Cancer, it says that there's some kind of emotional trauma from past life. So that's the reason why she wants to be able to control the interaction with others, so she gives, and it's difficult to receive because she's not taking any chances, probably.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And I think, but also too, some of the negatives of Scorpio can be volatility as well. And it may not, she may not have played nicely with other people in a past life as well. She could have been very, very tough on other people as well. We're talking in a past life sense here. I'm sure you're lovely in this life and it's not a problem.
That's okay.
That's my disclaimer.
It was
She said she's
very
been
vocal
naughty
behind
too.
the scenes.
Let me ask you a question, because you say your son's growing up and living his own life now. You know, I've got a teen daughter at home at the moment, and one thing about teens is they always seem to have secrets. They always seem to do things in ways that you're not comfortable with. Did you find yourself in a situation like that with your son when he was growing up? And if you did, how did you deal with that?
How did I do with what?
So basically, when her son was growing up, there were no secrets. She raised him as a teenager. I think you were by yourself raising him, right?
No.
When did Dad?
No, he was born when I was 23.
I know, but you raised him when he was a teenager. Was it just you?
Yes.
So when he was a teenager, it was just her raising him. And she was basically the kind of mom that if he needed anything, I mean, there was an open line of communication. He could call. The friends could come over. She made sure that he was safe. If he ever got into a situation, didn't matter what time it was, she would, of course, go get him. So she was that kind of parent. And now he's very successful. He's a anesthetist. He's got a wife and 3 kids. And, you know,
Right.
so she's done a really good job there.
Okay. I guess in my own roundabout way, what I'm asking you is, how do you deal with people hiding things from you or lying to you? Because you've got your Chiron's in Scorpio down there at the bottom. It runs a square straight up to that Pluto in the 12th house. 12th house rules hidden things. And the 2 most powerful planets on the chart, well, they call them the malefics, are both sitting in your house, in your 12th house. They're both in Leo. So how do you deal with deceit when people are deceitful or dishonest to you?
It hurts badly. I've been hurt because I am giving and I'm loving and I want the best for everybody. And the betrayal has been always there since the beginning. Lies, cheating, stealing from me, hurting me. And that is why now it is very difficult for me to go ahead and trust people because I don't want to get hurt anymore.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead and have a life that is happy, but I don't know how to go about it.
North Node.
Yes.
eh,
Yes. And
the
Virgo
heel.
energy too. You've got these, so you've got these 2 bullies in the 12th house who keep throwing lessons at you about trust, and that when it happens, it's not subtle. Leo is not subtle. So that's, and I think you've got all this Virgo energy, so that puts an emphasis on having control over relationships, having control over direction, because that fortifies you against the possibility of being lied to and tricked and hurt, because those 2 planets hurt, and they hurt hard when they're not cooperating. Your Pluto, again too, there's this really strong Scorpio narrative running in your chart too, with those 2 planets down the bottom with their opposition to Taurus up in the 8th house. So it's interesting in a lot of ways. The journey for this lifetime is about learning to trust, and it's you know, I don't think you'll ever completely open up to anybody. I don't think there was ever a requirement for you to, but I think it's about diligently and carefully doing the work towards being able to allow a transformation to happen inside yourself. It's not going to happen quickly. It's in Taurus. It's going to be with that Uranus up there at the top of your chart. You're going to be walking the razor's edge the whole time that you're doing it too. I think your skin's probably pretty thin when it comes to being hurt, but your heart's so big that you're going to keep putting yourself in harm's way anyway. So you've learned how to live in a way where you're able to find a balance between the two, and it's not a comfortable one. And I guess it's required you to work for other people. So now that you're in the part of your life where you've got to work for yourself and find things for growth for yourself, you've got a bit of a quandary there.
So do you think she needs to be working with women, being that I think Antoinette pointed out for Moon and Venus being in the 11th house? Do you think that she needs to focus on maybe volunteering or something? Because she's got this big house that she lives in by herself. You know, like I mentioned, her son has his family. They live in the next town over, but it's a drive. So she's got a lot of time on her hands, and she's trying to decide what she wants to do with that time. And she's not sure what there is available. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. Since with Cancer in the 11th, like it means like being very nurturing, caring, and loving, like mother to her group of women or her friends, and to help. It's training Chiron, so it will help like a healing for everybody, healing emotions, healing relationships, because I see Mars in Libra, so it's like, you know, which is ruled by Venus, so it could be that. And Virgo, for me, Virgo is like, I have my North Node in Virgo, so I love Virgo, so I know what it is. It's like helping others to prepare themselves to go out into the world, because it's like the 6th house going into the 7th, so helping people to know who they are, and to, before they go into relationships, because if you don't know who you are before you go into relationships, you're gonna get hurt, you know. So it's like having, yes, like a safe place.
So maybe working with young women, something along those lines, because she does have experience in being hurt and trusting too much, and you know the drill. And at this point, maybe she could use her time and energy, because she's a great counselor. She's very spiritual. I mean, I could go on and on. She's psychic. You know what I mean? I mean, she's all of that. And
well, you're
maybe
in house 10, definitely. You can have the online groups of women. And with the North Node in the house, the 8th house is like a woman with secrets that they're afraid to talk about. So because you know about that. So because that's your past life. So it's like, oh, I can deal with that. Women who have had to be dependent on other people, and how to help them become independent, like teach them something, or make sure that they get the right orientation. But sure, definitely, like you said, yes.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea. I really like that. I think she'd be really good at that. And I think what she does need, I think the direction that she does need to take is helping people, because she's really good at, like I said, she's very giving, and she's full of good advice, and she's very loving and caring, and you can just, being around her, you can feel it. You know what I mean? So when she starts talking, it gets even better. So she's got a lot of stories and a lot of life experiences that I think could really help other women. Definitely.
Yes, definitely, because that's a powerful place for North Node in the 8th house. And I can see that she's very loving and caring, like Moon in Cancer, Venus in Cancer. It's like to cook and to share and to.
Yes.
All of that.
Suggestion of online too is really, really good, because it's almost mean having those 2 planets up in the 11th house and then them putting them in Cancer, because the temptation's always to stay home anyway. Within your shell, to not overextend yourself. And you've got those 2 trines running down to Chiron again in that 2nd house. So the very second your foot steps out the door, all those alarm bells are going to go off. The moment somebody comes into your home, those alarm bells will probably go off too. So having an online solution for that's excellent. And that actually starts moving you into technology, which taps into that Jupiter in Sagittarius more. That creates room for that bigger personality to start playing out there too. Again, with that Virgo, you're probably, at least in the initial stages, not going to be leading groups. You're probably going to be supporting, which you excel at. But at the same time, I think when your confidence builds up and you start to feel more trusting and more comfortable around other people, as long as you can maintain that distance, which I think online works great for, that will happen faster than other scenarios, especially where people might be coming. I know you've got this big, lovely house, and there might be the idea to bring people into it, but I don't know if that's ever kind of comfortably sit with your personality. Online communities, so they could be an excellent way to go. Online mooning too. Yeah, look, there's not a lot in the 9th house, but down in the 3rd house, doing short courses and things like that too might help build up your confidence. Start refining and locking down those skills that you've already got. And, you know, just putting something in a box and slapping a label on the top of it at the end of the day helps us to understand more about what we can do too. So maybe that might be a good avenue to explore. I don't think you'll ever be a teacher. But I think you'll be, that your online might be a safe space for you to really allow that nurturing energy to come out and to, you know, be less alarmed by the way that you're contacting people, putting yourself at less risk. And there's risk on your chart. You're always going to run into people who are going to cause problems for you. That's what those two big hitters in the 12th house are saying. But I think Antoinette said on a really good avenue there, I think online. Start exploring online communities. Being a Virgo, you know, you could probably schedule your book out, have things all lined up, and maybe biting off more than you can chew right at the beginning, and working through that might be a good way to start, rather than carefully, you know, researching the hell out of what you do before you do it. Might be good to start finding groups that you like Antoinette said too, your instincts and your intuition is very, very strong. So I think you're going to get a read pretty quickly on whether something might be right for you or might not be. But I would resist the temptation to choose stuff that you always feel is 100% right. Even 50% right might be good for you. Yeah.
That sounds good.
And, you know, she could always start online and get to know the people. We could do something, you know, in close proximity and maybe start like that. And then as, you know, time progresses, maybe after getting to know everyone and forming a relationship, then she could host maybe, you know, a get together or
Yes.
attend a get together.
Let me qualify what I said
Right
before too. When I
now.
said I don't think you'll ever be a teacher, I'm talking like a dean at a university. You'll always be teaching people. I don't think you'll be standing up in front of an auditorium full of people and telling them how to learn something. But I think you're always going to be teaching people in whatever environment you're in. I think even just your instincts, you would always push you in that direction anyway. You're always going to be looking after people, and you're always going to be teaching and sharing. So from that point of view, I'm just saying I don't see you starting as a philosophy university, for example, building something big and grand and things like that. I think you're always going to be quietly working behind the scenes and working in a supportive role rather than a directive one in that regard. But correct me if I'm wrong, and if I am wrong, then show me, you know, I'd love to see it.
No, you are right. I'm not.
Yeah.
I never wanted to go ahead and give lectures, and I am a teacher, but I'm not want to go ahead and teach. And I want to go ahead and help people because of my experience going through a lot of difficult problems that a lot of women's going through it. And I think that I can go ahead and help children and women. At the moment, it is a problem because I cannot use the computer. I was hacked my ID was stolen, so my computers are down, and I'm almost out of the year, and maybe I can go ahead in the next few months when I can go ahead and get my back on my computers, clear the whole situation. Maybe I can start helping somebody. That is something
Definitely.
that I think I have done that before. And I was very successful helping, especially children, abused children, women, battered women, and things like that. I can go ahead and help them. And I'm very how can you say what and that I can see, that I can feel.
She's very intuitive. She can read the room. She can read energy. She can see auras. She can tell a person without them even speaking to her.
Oh, that's a packed house, 12th house in Uranus in the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yep.
Your voice is very important that you, because Mercury, which rules your ascendant, also rules the MC, which is her career and her profession. Her voice must come out into the world. You have a lot of important things to say, you know, and then Mercury is in the first house, so you cannot. So there's a challenge to come out of the 12th house and to speak of yourself as well, you know, of your experience, the experiences that you have had. Because you have transformed, like behind the scenes. Nobody's seen your transformation because maybe you won't talk about it, but you know about it. You know a lot.
But it's very difficult for me to go ahead and try to go ahead and talk to people because they are not open to receiving. It's like talking to a wall.
Not all people. There's others that we're going. Those people who don't get you, don't understand you, don't worry about them. But your voice must go out. That's the important thing. So you could start a YouTube channel. If you don't want to show your face, you can put an image and then you can talk. So you don't have to really put yourself out there in a way, because what it's the Aquarius is in the 6th house. That tells me about her work, what she does every day, and health and her routine. And it may have to do with mental health with Uranus in the 10th, but it's definitely talking about health as well, or emotional health.
I
I
think
think that
also
is
too,
a
because
very
you're
good.
sensitive. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, I was saying that that is a very good thing for me to go ahead and know that I can go ahead and that is one of the routes that I can go ahead and take. What I can do, what is coming next? That was one of my questions. What can I do to get out of what direction to go? That is one of my answers. To go ahead and be able to go ahead and help people, because
You know,
it comes naturally on me. But I'm don't like to go ahead and get in front of people to an audience. I don't want to be the center of attention.
you know what you can do? You can take a trip. Whenever we're not sure which direction we're supposed to be headed in, travel. Do like a short trip or a long trip, and then just, you know, let yourself go, because there's Taurus is on the 9th house, and it's the house of Jupiter, of Sagittarius. So if you could start a new adventure with Venus. And when you feel stuck in a rut, just go either walk around the block or take a short trip and you'll get things moving. I
It's
just
like a
felt
reset.
yeah, like
Yes,
a
that's
reset.
right.
That's great. Thank you.
It's a good idea too, even just the walking around the block. I mean, you've got all this Cancer energy, so there's a temptation to stay inside your shell and not expand outside that. So sometimes just getting a little further out than your comfort zone is another thing. Something that Michaelin brought up earlier too is volunteer work, and I think that could be an interesting option to explore as well, especially with the tough stuff. You know, I dated a DV worker for about a year. One of the strongest things she told me that was so important is to have a strong sense of individuality, because it's so easy to get sucked into other people's realities. And you've got that custom built on your chart too. So, and you're strong. We can see you're definitely strong. There's different types of strength. You know, there's that Leo strength that's sitting in your 12th house, but there's also the strength to endure, the strength to nurture, and the strength to keep putting other people in front of yourself. And that's an incredible strength that a lot of people underrate. That might be an option. Maybe you might want to look at doing some volunteer work. That's going to take you out of home. You know, when we talk about home, it's a really interesting paradox for you, because your 4th house is empty. When the 4th house on your chart rules the home and everything, so your home's, it's saying it's not going to be your family, your home. You know what I mean? I think your real home and your sense of belonging might be outside that space, and you need to go and build it. Volunteer work might also be something too, and it might be challenging. It might actually tap into some of those strengths of yours. And you might be able to help other people find their own voice, their own authenticity, and their own strengths, and themselves, more importantly than anything, because you've been there, done that. You know how that works. There's nothing condescending about this chart. So I think you'll be able to work with vulnerable people, with angry and volatile people at the worst points in their lives, and things like that. And I think you might get a strong sense of social justice and accomplishment out of that too. So that might be something to consider. And again too, there may be ways to bring that together with the online community. Maybe it's something that you can do online. That's something you can do on Zoom, for example. You can find groups out there that are doing stuff. My suggestion, and this is something that may resonate with a Virgo, but may also be very, very difficult for somebody who's not good at talking about themselves, is to do a skills audit. Sit down and work out exactly what it is that you can do and what you're willing to share right now, and start there. I think if I had to sum up everything we've talked about today, I think all your life right up to this point has been study. And where you are right now, you've got your diploma, you just don't know where you're going to work. So I think that if I was to wrap it up and put a bow on top, I think that's what's happened. You've graduated. You've got all that experience, you've got all that knowledge, you've got all that skill. You're just not sure which company you want to work with. When I say company, I'm just talking about which direction in life you want to go out and expand that in. From the little bit of contact we've had today, you've been very, very generous with what you've shared, and you've had a very, very difficult and very challenging journey, and you've proved under those conditions you can excel. And you can do it diligently and quietly. You're not going to stand there on top of your soapbox showing off to the rest of the world. You're not looking for a graduation party. You're just looking for the next job where you can apply your skills. So maybe doing a skills audit might be a good place to start. Sit down, and it'll help. You might even find it a little bit confrontational in a comfortable way that you can do in your own home, because that'll invite you to start talking about who you are and what you can do. From what I can see, it looks like a lot. Looks like a lot. A lot of them are soft skills that are difficult to wrap up. But man, they make a big difference in people's lives when they're applied in the right way. And I think maybe even that hard-headedness you talked about earlier too could be a real asset in that, because at the end of the day, you know what people want even when they don't know what they want. The only one you can't do that magic trick for is yourself.
That is right.
Yeah.
I can see everybody's problem and how to fix them, but
Yep.
I don't see how to fix mine own. my own.
You know, and that was Chiron, the centaur. He was the he rules healing on the chart. He could heal anybody, but he could not heal himself. He was the only person he couldn't heal. So that might be how you start working with that energy. Yeah.
Yes, I do have a lot of energy, positive energy, and it works. I've seen it work.
Yeah.
Because I have done that. But I don't, like you said, I don't know how to heal me. I mean, I heal a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was able to overcome all the pain and the anger and be forgiven and still caring for the people that have hurt me. To be able to forgive, it's a very difficult thing.
Most people don't
When
get past that
somebody
challenge.
hurt you deeply or done some damage to you. And I think that I can go ahead and help somebody else. I think it will do me a lot of good. It will give me a purpose in life, because right now, like I said, I don't know. I'm in the middle of nowhere with no direction to go. I got all this knowledge. I got my sky is clear. My boat is safe. My sky is clear, but it's
Don't know where
like
you're going.
I don't know where I'm going. Or
She's
how-
going somewhere. She's just not sure where. And at the moment, it's just the wind pushing her, but she would like to have the ability to have the wind push her and maybe a steering wheel so she can direct herself. I mean,
When Jupiter conjuncts Uranus.
Yeah. Also, too, with all that Cancer energy, even though your boat's sitting there, it might still be in that harbor too. You might need to get out to open seas, I think. And that could be the online community. That could be putting yourself out there in the deep end too. I think it could be volunteer work. I think you get a tremendous sense of accomplishment from that, but I don't want to limit you to that. But the advantage I see in volunteer work is it'll give you a perfect balance between control and no control. You can't control what's coming to you, but you can control what's happening next and how you respond. And I think you've got a personality that might thrive on that. You're not afraid of challenges. You're not afraid of the tough stuff. That's what I see. And you don't lose yourself. You're not a sucker. You're very, very careful not to be. And that's your Uranus right at the top of the chart. You'll ride that razor's edge between cold logic and sympathy and emotion. I think you're wise enough to know sympathy will only get you so far. And being emotionally distanced won't get you to where you want to go. So you've learned to find a perfect balance between the two.
Also, one other thing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. I'm done.
Okay, no, I was just saying, since the right side of the chat is not populated at all, she could like maybe step out, because I can see that everybody comes to her, so she's put up on. But now it's time for her to move out to populate the rest of the chat, like go out, meet people, have fun, work with children, change your routine, travel. Like it's like 7 different areas that she can take a risk and go out and see what's happening and make some changes on that side as well.
just to see what'll happen. You know, if she doesn't like it, she can always come back to the house.
Right, back to her side.
It's in Taurus. Just take one step at a time. Look at that North Node. It's, you know what, in a lot of ways, there probably isn't a lot out there for her other than personal development. That's her soul is demanding. You know, when I look at it from a karmic point of view, she probably was big and large out there on the other horizon, and she's been pulled back and put on a leash and told to slow down, slow right down. and be careful about how you work with people. And there's no sign more careful than Virgo. She might have been that Pluto and that Sagittarius and that Saturn in the 12th house. That might have been her in the past life. That's what I mean. There's so much Scorpio energy lurking around in this chart, and there's a real sense of power underneath it. You can feel it, right? But it's not power you're allowed to have. It's power that's happening to you. A lot of it's happening to you, and you have to reconcile that and figure that out. So it makes sense that you're not in a rush to get out there and to see the world and do stuff. You're supposed to do all that work on yourself first. Taurus in the 8th house, it's going to be a transformational process, and it's going to happen one step at a time. And that's fixed energy, which is the weakest energy on her chart. So it's not going to feel natural to her. She's not going to be doing it for herself just for the sake of getting out there. So she needs to find work that's going to lead her out there. She wouldn't do it by herself. That's what I see. There's nothing rewarding for you. Why would you? And that also explains why now that when your son has grown up and moved on and lived his life and your career has completed, those things that can happen in a box have wound up. You need to step outside that box and start finding things. And Taurus says you just do it one step at a time. Do a little bit, go right up to that bit where you feel uncomfortable and just stay there for a while until it's comfortable, and then do a bit more.
I'm getting too comfortable sitting on my couch and scared to death to go ahead and get out.
Yep, you got all this Cancer energy, so when things are confusing or whatever the case may be, that's going to be the place you're going to want to go, and things like that. And this isn't saying burn your house down, by no means at all. It's not saying just grab like Marie Kondo says, grab the things that give you joy and then go on a trek around the world. It's not saying that at all. All those strengths that you build up, they're not going to be useful to you, and you won't be of use to other people. And by default, your sense of self is built on helping other people, but it's not about other people. That's what this chart is telling me. You're not doing it for other people. You're doing it to understand yourself. And I think that does not make you anything other than well, what that says is that you're on a journey of self-discovery, and other people are benefiting from the fruit that comes from that. But you're not doing it for them. You're doing it to understand yourself. And that's perfectly valid. It's perfectly valid. And in a lot of ways, especially when you're doing work with people in the most difficult part of their lives, you're exactly the right person at the right time, because you're not going to get sucked into their stuff. Yeah.
I totally agree. I think that is great advice.
It is. Thank you.
And
I think
like
she just needed someone to tell her that.
Sure. And you've got all this Virgo and Cancer energy. There's probably the temptation to probably do it from your sofa or your kitchen. But you just might want to, again, start booking out a schedule, which your Virgo will agree to. They'll agree to that terms. And just overbook it just a little, and just call it research. Find the things that resonate with you and don't resonate with you. Do things that are outside this. You'll easily find groups that you can 100% resonate with, but I think the growing for you is going to be in the ones where you still need to learn. You still need to learn new ways to apply your strengths. So don't get the ones that are best fit for you. So I think the one you're going to end up finding the most challenging and the most exciting is the one that's going to push you to the limit. And you're going to change whatever organization that is. You're going to do it quietly and diligently from the background. They won't even know who did it probably, but they'll know things are changing. That sounds like a good place to start. Just stay right up. You know what your limits are, then just add 5% on top of that.
That had happened before too. I'm always in the background and move things, but never get the recognition. And it's not that I want somebody to come and pat me on the head and put a crown on me or something like that. But sometimes it'd be nice if somebody realized that all the hard work that I have put in and all the advancements that the companies have acquired, my hard work was never recognized. And that is things that still bother me. And I want to go ahead and continue doing things for everybody else, but at the same time, I'm tired of doing things for everybody. And here I am at my age, being alone. And it is very difficult to start something else and very scary because I'm not young anymore. And I don't know, I'm afraid. And like I said, it is scary. I think it is trying to go ahead and help online different people. I just don't want people to take any more advantage of me. I don't want to lose the security because I will not be able to go ahead and recover now. I'm on a fixed income. I'm retired. And I do not like to go and get free things from people or start asking people for things. I don't want to do that. I don't want to depend on somebody else. I'm very independent.
Nail on the head. There you go. You know, it's like it's about your self-worth. You know, it's about being independent and healing the Chiron, healing that, because it's like a wound that is hidden. It's hidden deep inside your subconscious. If you heal that, I think you can transform that pain and you will be able to open up. And if once you're healed, nobody can betray you. You know, it's like, go away, next, I don't have time. So yeah, heal that Venus. It's
nothing out there
self-worth.
that suits that. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it just came. You know, I realized when she says nobody sees me, because Saturn is like her life's work, which, you know, and it's in the 12th house. Like nobody sees it. My son is in the 12th house. Nobody sees it. Mm-hmm. And she's different and unique. The Uranus in the 10th house. So I think when you heal that and transform that 8th house North Node, but because it's the North Node trines the sun. So but that sun, all she has to do is jump into the 1st house.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's the curse of Virgo too, isn't it? The masters, I think invisibility is their superpower.
Yes, Superman, like nobody, Clark, Lois Lane, Clark and Superman. Nobody can see your power. They just see, you know.
They just bask in the glow of the benefits of freshly laundered clothing, of food on the table, of, you know, of warmth and electricity and all of those things you take for granted. Virgo's the master of providing all of that, you know, but because it's like working in IT, people only notice it when the computers don't turn on. Or accounting, you know what I mean? Accounting is the perfect example. Suddenly when people aren't getting paid or the taxes don't balance out, that's when accounting suddenly becomes very, very important. You know, when things aren't working well, when you're doing it, when you're nailing it as a Virgo, people don't notice. That's the real superpower of Virgo.
Right.
So, and yours is in the 12th house. You're one step behind that already. You know, you're already in a tougher zone there to do that. So you're right.
I have something, I just saw it. I realized what happened. In past life, she was very prominent in everything, and people saw her and it caused a problem. You know, it caused a problem. I think you might have been a bit of a bully.
I think in a past life, you might have been a bit of a bully. So you are not allowed to be a bully now, but I think you've got an open door policy on bullies wandering into your life. With that Saturn and that Pluto up there. So you've had to learn how to be your own bouncer at the door of your own house. You know, And you got to laugh about it, I think, in a way. What else could you do?
Yes, yes.
And that's what I mean, that up the top there, with that Taurus up there in the 8th house, transformation comes from learning self-control in this lifetime. And you've been given so many lessons on how to do that. And some real blessings too, some really wonderful tools in there too. Those concerns that you all mentioned before about being betrayed, about having to start again, about the point of your life that you're in right now and how much energy you've got to apply into new things, they're all solvable problems if you're willing to put your will to it. There are situations out there that you can look for that will mitigate all of those risks. So I honestly think if you're ready to sit down and evaluate and look, which you've got an ability to do, every Virgo does, it's built into you by design. I think you can find a scenario that's going to work for you. I think you can find a handful of them, and I think they're you don't need a shopping list. You only need about 3 or 4 good possibilities. That's all. Make a checklist of all the things you're scared of. Fear is valid. Fear means you're about to grow. You're going to go into places that you're not there, that you haven't been before, and you're going to do things that you're not 100% able to do by yourself. That the fear is perfectly valid. It can be managed, and nobody manages things like that better than Virgo. You've got all the tools and the power you need to do that. So I think when you're ready, I think you will be able to find. I'd sit down and write down those fears and those concerns you have. When you voice them, they're strong and they're real, and I believe all of them. But I think they can all be mitigated and managed. And I think you can find a situation that will allow you to overcome all of those, minimize your risk, maximize your growth, and do it for you. Don't go out there thinking to do it for everybody else. You're going to help other people, whether you like it or not. You're just built that way. But do this next thing that you do it for you. Don't do it for other people who are depending on you. Do it for you. You're built to function that way, from what I can see. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You've got a lot of powerful tools and things that will make you formidable at what you decide to put your energy to, in a way that people won't notice at first, but then they'll feel the changes happening in their own lives. And yeah, you're built for that.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
I'm sorry, I haven't shared anything, but I'm trying to say, I've been trying to ask, do you like to write or do art or anything like that?
Both.
You do, because
Yes.
that's what is making me insane. I'm thinking you write your memoir, that's going to serve you because you're going to be able to put out your path and all the things that have been sort of in that subconscious in your 12th house that have nobody noticed, but you as a Leo, with the Leo energy in that house, you need it to be noticed. So you really want your story, and even if it is just for you when you're initially writing it, it's still going to serve. And so the way you put it out into the world can be your Virgo service, and can help other women because you have very specific issues that are related to women that probably most of us struggle with. And then you're heading towards your North Node if you also incorporate your artistic gifts. So working on your art and maybe putting more art out into the world is not going to just help others, because art's always going to help others, but it's going to help you shift in that direction of being more toward out in the world, but in a way that's comfortable for you as this Cancer moon that wants to kind of stay home.
Thank you.
Does that make any sense? You
Yes.
said you like to write and you like to do art. So I think that would be a gentle journey in to doing your service to other people without it being super
Risky.
uncomfortable.
Yes. Thank you.
That's a great idea.
That is a great.
It works on that 12th house Saturn too. It's a ruler of the 5th house.
I'm a writer and I have a lot of Cancer energy. So I relate to what you struggle with, of wanting to be of service, but not really wanting to necessarily be in the spotlight. and wanting to kind of be in your comfort zone. That really resonates to me. So I kind of feel like I get what you're talking about. And I've also had a lot of wounds where people have walked all over me, because when you're warm-hearted like that, that's very, very common.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's very good advice. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Welcome.
It's a great chat, really. You know.
And I also want to say, I think it is so lovely that you're sitting in a boat with calm waters. I think that is such a rarity for people to realize that that's where they are and on their journey. That, I mean, that feels so amazing. Now, I know it's stressful for you because you're not sure where you're going next, but the fact that you're in calm waters and you've already done so many amazing things for your son and in your work, I think that maybe you pat yourself on the back and say, you can coast in those waters a little bit now. That's, that might be part of where you are.
That is where I am. I just need a direction and I needed some advice to where to go. What did my chart was saying, in what direction to go, that it will be positive. And that is a very good advice. I think it is. I thank all of you for your help, that giving me hope and a sense of direction and possibilities. I don't
You have
know
a
how
lot of
to
possibilities.
go ahead and do
Yeah.
it, but I mean, it helped to know that is something in there that I can go ahead and do and be happy with it.
So for
But
sure, because
I'm not have to be lost forever, that I still useful, that I can, that I have a purpose in life.
you do. You're a powerful goddess. You need to go and do a past life, something. Because the rule of the second house is Venus, and the rule of the north is something to, or maybe work with goddess or goddesses, powerful goddesses.
The 10th house emphasizes that too, all that feminine energy up there. Groups, organizations, all of that sort of stuff that emphasize femininity, the feminine, they will be powerful for you, and they'll tap into things that into gifts that you're able to share with other people. Look, I want to put an invitation out to you that we've put out to some other people too. I'd love to, if it occurs to you in a year's time, I'd love to see where you are. You are welcome to come back and we can do this again, and let's see what happens. Even sooner if things are moving along too, and Michaelin can regulate that if she's comfortable doing that. But we'd love to touch base with you again and see how you're going. I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
I want to see what you're going to do. I agree with the others. I see all this potential. I don't know what you're talking about. In regard to not sure what to do next. You've got so much on there. But look, I want to just touch on one other thing too while we're wrapping up. Right at the beginning, Michael, and you talked about how to present a reading without doing harm and finishing on a strong note. Michelle, what you said right at the end about finding yourself in calm waters, what a positive way to put a bow on top of this this whole process that we've done together, and you come in right at the end and then drop that bombshell right in everybody's lap. So that's a really powerful way to sum up a reading and say, look at where you are right now, where the thing that's bothering you the most is probably the best, one of the most lovely things that's happening for you right now. That's an excellent way to do it. So kudos to you for that. That was spectacular.
Thank you. Thank
Does
you to
anybody
all
have
of
any parting thoughts before we go? And I'd love to get some feedback before we go to Amira from you too, if there's anything you'd like to say.
I want to say thank you for a wonderful reading. And kind words and letting me know that even so that the people did not recognize me, you all been able to go ahead and see something in me and letting me know
Mm.
that you see that. That made me feel good.
That's good.
You're welcome. You'll always be
That-
welcome here too.
Thank you. And I'd be happy to go ahead and come online anytime. And if I can be some help, by all means.
If you create that group, let us know.
Yeah.
And if you're
What
really
is
out of a
that?
loose end of what to do, then learn astrology. Join the
Well,
group.
it's
Bring those
funny you
gifts with
mentioned
you.
that. She had an astrology book when I first met her, and she lent it to me. It was a coffee table astrology book. So
Yes, I
see,
don't
they
mind
work a
that.
little bit.
There you go, Uranus in the 10th.
Right. Wow.
Yep.
You were already doing your work by helping your friend.
Yeah, she helps me all the time.
And more like reading people and their feelings. I don't know the astrology or the reading of the cards or things like that, but when I see it, I know what I see, and we communicate with Michael, and I tell her what I see,
Oh,
the meaning of it. And most of the time it's what she saying that is what it is.
We do tarot readings, so
Yes.
she
my
can
God,
look
I
at the
want her reading.
I know. I want to hang out with all of you.
Yeah, no.
yeah. So she's able to look at the cards and look at the pictures and come to a conclusion by feeling, and then I have the technical side. So we
That's the
combine.
Cancer moon.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's-
gosh, when?
Why don't you two run a workshop here in Zoom?
So fun.
That'd be
That
fun.
would be
I'll come.
Yeah.
That'd be a
Talk
good
about
idea.
it. No
We're going to
pressure.
figure something out. We're definitely going to figure something out based on all the advice that you guys have given. I'm going to help her figure out what she can do with her time to make her feel useful. She is useful, but she just isn't feeling useful. So something like what, Michelle brought up about writing and doing art, that's great. And maybe that can segue into a community of sorts. Maybe she can just dip her toes in by writing and maybe getting her work out there, and and she's going to find the right people. She just has to put herself out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to do
Well,
that.
even when you just
Sorry.
write, when you write out, you're telling the universe, hey, I'm ready. And you're kind of putting that energy out in a concrete way that's saying, this is the gift I have to deliver to other people. So even just that act of writing it before you even share it, you're telling the universe. So let that Virgo drive of being a service drive you to do this, even though it feels like, well, how is this helping anyone? I'm just helping myself. You still will be helping other people.
Yes.
Even before you share it. So let that embolden you to do it without worry about what anybody else is going to say at first. And then eventually you might be able to, put it out onto the web or share it in groups, however it feels most comfortable.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been very interesting.
Well, it sounds like you're an empath / intuitive, and the world needs more of your energy. The world needs to shift into that positive sort of warmth. So you're doing some really important work just by existing, literally, just by bringing your energy.
Pisces on the DC and Neptune in the first house. People are drawn to you.
Well, Pluto's moving
The
into
only
Pisces.
negative part, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. No, I'm just saying Pluto's moving into Pisces for the next 20 years.
Pluto's moving. I thought Pluto was moving into Aquarius.
Aquarius. Oh, the
Aquarius.
sixth
Yeah.
house.
God, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
No. There's another. I've got to go and do some research on that. No, an alarm bell just went off there though, from what you're saying. So, no, I need to go and look at that.
Saturn in Pisces.
Saturn's in Pisces, right?
That's the
But
one.
Pluto
That's the
is-
one. Yeah, and
Right.
it would have
Pluto
been
is-
there for longer anyway. So, but yeah, Saturn and Pisces. So that's, I think, gonna offer a way to soften a lot of that energy that's been coming at you, and to express and open up and trust those channels too.
Yeah.
So
She's gonna enjoy it, you know, because it's the fifth house ruler.
yeah.
She might find somebody to might
The
need to
one
get
thing-
married again. Who knows?
What?
Repeat that. She didn't hear you.
No. When I say that the fifth house ruler is going through the seventh house, she may meet someone.
Oh,
Because when
thank
she walks
you.
into the world,
I'm tired
yeah.
of being alone.
I'm just making fun. I'm not saying you have to get married. If it was
And
me,
the
I'd be
way,
happy.
the way to meet someone, though, we need to point out, is to put herself out there, whether it
Yeah.
be
Get
volunteering
out of
or
the
writing.
house.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
and people, when you start doing what you love, people will come. They're attracted to you. You find somebody who is, vibing at same things that you love, and then you find a companion. I think that's more like it. And you work together with this person, and then life changes, and Venus gets happy all over again. Yeah.
That'd be nice. It's one thing that meeting people that is in pain and things like that, I seem to absorb their pain. And that it's very difficult because it's very painful to me. I take it from them,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes me days to recuperate from. It's like I'm healing them, but it comes to me,
Yeah, at your own expense.
Mm-hmm.
and that is, it's kind of scary, and I know that is the way that it works, and I feel good about healing somebody, helping somebody, but I don't want to go ahead and I want a little bit of happiness. I want to meet somebody. I want to go ahead and be able to have a companion to work with. And I hope that you all right, and maybe I can meet somebody. And I don't say even marriage, but just somebody that I can go ahead and, a friend that I can go ahead and,
It might just happen. I can see. If I was to read it like that, I would say that there are opportunities for that to happen. There's someone who is a Saturn kind of person, Saturn gentleman,
Older
coming into your
gentleman.
life.
Yeah.
A mature
Thank you.
gentleman.
He won't be in his 20s.
No, I don't want another child. Even
So
some,
you
I got
want a grown man? You want a mature man?
You'd babysit.
yes,
A working
yes,
man?
I already raised one, and it's wonderful. He's been a blessing to me. He been the best, and he still is. But working 3 jobs, trying to raise a kid, it's not easy. And at my age, I want somebody that talk my language.
Write it down.
Most men her age, though, they're not as vibrant as she is. It'd be hard for them to keep up.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be a few years. Yeah.
We're gonna,
A little younger.
yeah, she vibes better with younger men because she's so young at heart. So somebody her age, well, may or may not. I mean, we don't know that for a fact. We're just assuming.
We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. That's
Join a
been the,
tarot or astrology group at the same time. There's something about the out of the box thinkers. They all seem to congregate around those occult groups.
For real.
Yeah. So your radar should be pretty advanced too. You should be able to pick out those piranhas and as they're moving around. But yeah, put that on your list, your shopping list of groups to join and things too, you know. So maybe it's not all of those community groups might not all be completely feminine. Who can say? But again, too, if that's happening, it's happening outside your house. So like Michael said, you're going to have to go and look for that one. But not too hard. I think it's something it'll happen incidentally along a list of other things that you've set out to do. Yeah.
Well,
Well, I think we've landed in a really nice spot here, haven't we? I've had a lot of fun today. I don't know about you guys too, but there's a really nice warm vibe surrounding all of this too, which it's gonna take out into the rest of my day. So thank you for that.
Thank you for
Thank
giving
you.
me hope.
Oh, what a beautiful thing.
You're very welcome.
Thank you,
It's been a
everybody, for
pleasure.
yeah, this group, this is just, I mean, the first half I was speechless because I was just hearing everybody's wisdom and I learned a lot. I've never done one of the reading calls. It's really interesting. And so thank you for being so generous with your knowledge and brave with sharing.
Oh, thank you for all your wise words, and I learned a lot. And
Me
you
too.
give me a lot of confidence. So thank you for that. I needed that. I need courage. I need that wind to push me up on my right way.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. I'll get a recording together today. I'll put that in the study group. Michael, and what I'll do too is I'll give you a link so you can download a video too if you like to share with Amira.
thank you.
Like I
so
said, you're
much.
welcome to come back anytime. Let us know if things are changing and you want to touch base and keep us updated. Let us know. I'd love to see you again.
Okay, thank you so much. It was nice to meet all of you, and I hope you all have a wonderful year and week and nights, and
Thank you.
may God bless all of you.
You too.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Damian, for the opportunity just to practice.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I get so nurtured by these groups. So I'm really enjoying being a part of this too. Yeah, I'm learning a lot from running these groups. It's really encouraging for me too. I think like others have said before, for the longest time, even for the first few years I was running these courses, I really feel like you're working by yourself. So this opens up a whole new dimension. And it's been it's very nourishing for me working with everybody and very affirming. So I'm looking forward to 2024. I hope to do some bigger and more exciting things with everybody. I think it's amazing that we've got all these lovely people in one place, and it's such a safe place to do this kind of work. So it's such a pleasure. So thank you. I should be thanking you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. Where are we? We're going to stop recording. Thank you, everybody who's come today. It's been, out of all the groups we've done, this is a real pleasure for me. I've really enjoyed this one. And I hope to see more of everybody in the new year. Lovely.
Okay. See you soon. Thanks a lot.
See you soon.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.